Hi, beautiful people. This is Lit, the catalyst, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for the love you have shown me on my first episode on Read Aloud, and I am so grateful and I'm glad you love it. Today, we're going to see the second episode of Read Aloud, and much is definitely a woman month, just as I told you the last time, and so we're just concentrating on bringing out themes that help women to fight on, do well in their kind of fields and selected areas. And today I'm super excited to share with you. Pardon my voice, it's been quite roughy. I still have to record this video for you because I know you can't wait for the second episode of Read Aloud. So today I have a wonderful book here for us to look at, and I am so excited because I know you love this book. This book is actually one of the most beautiful book I've also read. It's kind of a biographic something, but then it tends to put a lot of emphasis on internalizing revolution for women, and that's what we stand for. Giving women the platform and the necessary aids for us to be able to thrive very well in our chosen endeavors. So today I read with you one of the insightful books, and I know most of you have either heard about it or read a section or possibly read the whole book, and maybe you didn't take time to analyze some important themes in this book. Today we're just going to do that here. So before I introduce everything, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and just stay in for more. It's going to be super good. And no long talks, let's get in. Remember, this is the catalyst. Welcome back, guys. So today we are discussing this book, and it's called Lean In. And yes, this is a groundbreaking book for Sheryl Sandberg, and Sheryl Sandberg is currently the operating officer of Facebook, and this woman has actually climbed a lot of ladders in the female arena, and this book of X explores a lot of issues concerning women in leadership, gender bias, and societal expectations and situations that prevent women from achieving their goals and aims. And this leaning book has actually led to the establishment of leaning.org, and it's kind of great the impact that she has actually made in the field of women and leadership roles, and it's been great. So this book actually explores a lot, and it actually gives a lot of guidelines as to how women can actually make it through all the holdbacks, all the forces that pull us down, and go for what we want and self-actualize as women, making sure that our impacts are felt. So let's just get in through and through, and let's get rolling. So I'm going to explore three most important themes in this book with you. And the first thing I would like us to look at is female inequality, something that we have stopped talking about, and something people think that as times have changed, years have gone by, things have changed. However, that is still not the case, especially being a colored woman. You know the kind of things that really comes along with fighting for the space in some areas. And the next theme that we'll be exploring again in this book has to do with mutual support. That is one most important factor that every woman requires to be able to get to the level that she needs to be. So mutual support is also one thing that we'll be looking at, and how Sheryl Sandberg brings it out very well in her book. The last thing that we would also be looking at is doing it all and having it all. You know, that myth that it has to be like women have to have it all together before they can get to that level. Would also be addressing it in this video. So guys, you cannot afford not to watch this video to the end. Just stay glued and let's do this. So guys, let's just start with our first theme, which is in female inequality and empowerment and confidence, as to how we would be able to sail through that. So I'm just reading from the introduction. You know, her introduction got me to the brim. See, she said, I got pregnant with my first child in summer in 2004. At that time, I was running the online sales and operation groups at Google. I had joined the company 3.5 years earlier, when it was an obscure startup with a few hundred employees in a rundown office building. By my first trimester, Google had grown into a company of thousands and moved into a multi-building campus. She was pregnant. Now this is what happened and how she used her pregnancies to change things. She said, one day, after a rough morning spent staring at the bottom of the toilet, I had to rush to make an important client meeting. Google growing so quickly that parking was an ongoing problem, and the only spot I could find was quite far away. I sprinted across the parking lot, which in reality meant lumbering a bit more quickly than my absurdly slow pregnancy crawl. This only made my nausea worse, and I arrived at the meeting praying that a sales pitch was the only thing that would come out of my mouth. Now, what happened? This is just bringing out the challenge she had when she was pregnant and how she had to rush just to make sure she got to wherever she was going to give her pitch. Now, see what happened. Because she was actually finding it difficult, she just realized that pregnant women had actually been going through a lot and everybody had been silent. You know, sometimes it's about time we speak for women. Women inequality has been trending in all aspects, in all areas of our work and in all areas of our life. Yet people fail to speak up for it when they realize it. Now see what she did. To this day, I am embarrassed that I didn't realize that pregnant women needed reserved parking until I experienced my own aching feet. As one of Google's most senior women, I didn't have a special responsibility to think of this, but like Sergey, it had never occurred to me. The other pregnant women must have suffered in silence, not wanting to ask for a special treatment. Or maybe they lack the confidence or seniority to demand for that. The problem needs to be fixed. Having one pregnant woman at the top, even one who looked like a whale, made a difference. So, you know, having women at the top always makes a difference. Now, what did she do? She just walked up straight to her manager and demanded that women should be given priority parking space, and this change was the start of revolution. However, even as at the time she wrote her book, there were some things that were going on that depicted that there needed to be changes in how women were treated. Have a listen. The first one is, we feel even more grateful when we compare our lives to those other women around the world. There are still countries that deny women basic civil rights. Worldwide, about 4.4 million women and girls are trapped in the sex trade. In places like Afghanistan and Sudan, girls receive little or no education. That's true, and it's still ongoing though. Wives are treated as the property of their husbands, female inequality, and women are raped, routinely cast out of their homes for disgracing their family. Some rape victims are even sent to jail for committing a moral crime. We are centuries ahead of the unacceptable treatment of women in these countries, but yet still remains unchanged. So see, women inequality, just as I said earlier, have been silenced up. People are no more talking about the fact that women are being treated poorly by their husbands. Girls are not allowed to school. Still, in some parts of Africa and in some deprived areas, girls are not made to go to school. Why? Because they think and feel that female education is still not as important as it used to be. So it looks like the basic idea of female inequality stems from childhood, rises up to adulthood, and then tends to end up in our marriages. And it becomes a headache for most of these females who are not able to voice out and speak up for themselves, as well as speak up for their colleague female. But this is exactly what Cheryl did. She was able to at least ignite a change with a parking lot for other women. There's this thing that I want us to consider. So, talking about women in higher places, the statistics is relatively still low. Let's have a look. Here we go. But knowing that things could be worse should not stop us from trying to make them better. When the suffragettes marched in the streets, they envisaged a world where men and women will be truly equal. A century later, we are still squinting, trying to bring the vision into focus. The blunt truth is that men still run the world, and that is an absolute undeniable truth. Men are still running the world. Women are trying to get into the space of men, but yet we are not there. We are still struggling to get to the level where men are accorded respect. We are still struggling to get to that level where women will be accorded equal respect as men are given in our workplaces, in all our social institutions, and we still keep fighting. Strong women are fighting, yet we are still not there. Now listen to this. Even if I'm able to just touch on inequality in this video, guys, there will be a part 2 of this video. See, right now, just like, share, and subscribe. Even before we move further, this is going to get interesting. Hold on. It says, of the 195 independent countries in the world, that this is as of when she wrote the book, she said only 17 are led by women. Women hold just 20% of seats in parliament globally. In the United States, where we pride ourselves on liberty and justice for all, the gender division of leadership roles is not much better. Women became 50% of the college graduates in the United States in the early 1980s. Since then, women have slowly and steadily advanced, earning more and more the college degrees, taking more the entry-level jobs, and entering more fields previously dominated by men. Despite these gains, the percentage of women at the top of corporate America has barely budged over the past decade. A meager 21 of the Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Women hold about 14% of executive officer positions, 17% of board seats, and constitute 18% of our elected congressional officials. The gap is even worse for women of color. That was what I was saying exactly. The gap is so great for women of color, and it has not changed. I'm going to give you the current statistics of a report that was published, and you will know that the statistics has not changed at all. Women of color who hold just 4% of top corporate jobs, 3% of board seats, and 5% of congregational seats. While women continue to outpace men in educational achievement, we have ceased making real progress at the top of any industry. This means that when it comes to making the decisions that most affect our world, women's voice are not heard equally. And that's true. It's undeniable true, and I know you know. So hold on. These statistics were given years ago. I'm going to currently give you what is trending now, and you see the difference. Whether it has changed much or not, you'll be able to see it. So I'm reading to you a report from Women in Workplace 2023, and this report was conducted in partnership with leanin.org, and it brings out statistics of women who are currently in the workplaces and leadership roles, and this is the 9th year of its publication. So let's see what it says in here. Even before we start, it says women are more ambitious than ever, and workplace flexibility is fueling them. Yet, despite some hard-fought gains, women's representation is not keeping pace. That's according to the latest Women in the Workplace report from McKinsey in partnership with leaning.org. So let's dig down into what this report says. So there's a graph here that I want you all to consider. So women's representation saw modest gains throughout the corporate pipelines, but women of color remains underrepresented. So if we take a look at the graph here, it says that at the entry level, white men are dominating. At the managerial level, they are dominating. Senior manager, they are dominating. Vice president, senior vice president, and the C-suite, they are dominating. Now let's come to women. When we come to women, we have 48% of these women in these areas. And out of these 48% of women, it is just 28% of these women that find themselves in the C-suite. So it means the graph thins as it gets to the higher positions. So at the entry level, we are getting 29 white women and 18 women of color. And at the C-suite, we are ending up with 22 white women and 6 women of color. This is to say that if any decision is made at the top, there will be a slimmer voice that whatever decisions are made would suit women of color and even women of white, considering the fact that we are just making 28% of the population in the C-suite. Good. Let's get down to here and it gets more interesting. It says, these hard-earned gains are encouraging yet fragile. Slow progress of women at the manager and director levels. Representation has grown only 3 to 4% points, respectively, creates a weak middle in the pipeline for employees who represent the vast majority of women in corporate America and the great breakup. So even if before then we were having quite a number of women up there, it has not changed much. The statistics has not grown that much. Women of color are still underrepresented. Women, even white women, are not so much represented because at the entry level we are having 48% and then up with 28% in the C-suite. That's quite. Let me just say approximately half of them have dropped alongside the way. And there's this interesting thing that I read in this report that says that it is just looking like men are promoted based on their potentials. So we tend to get men fill up these spots in the leadership role because we see a potential in them. However, we just get to see a few women in these spots because of the achievements. So what you achieve is what will be able to put you out there. Your potentials matters not. If you have an equal potential with a man, then definitely you know your spot will be given to a man. And so women inequality is something that, it is something we still need to fight for. If we have kept silent, we have been quiet, and it looks like women inequality even goes beyond all these things that we've spoken about. It transcends into the pay gap, and gender pay gap has been an issue for discussion for a while. And I just chanced on something from the UK government side, and it's data and analysis from census 2021, and it talks about the differences in pay, and it reads here. This was actually put together in 2023 to compare the pay gap as at 2023. And it comes down here to say that the gender pay gap has been declining slowly over time. Over the past decade, it has fallen by approximately a quarter among full-time employees. That is when they compare the pay gap between men who are full-time employed and female who are full-time employed. And in April 2023, it stands at 7.7%. That is the difference. Come down and it says that there remains a large difference in the gender pay gap between employees aged 40 years and over and those aged under 40 years. Compared with lower paid employees, the gender pay gap among higher earners is much larger. However, this difference has decreased in recent years. And I just want you to show you this graph over here, which states that people in full time, okay, we see a downtrend of it from 20 down to about a little below 10, and people in part-time jobs have also seen quite a decline from 30% to about 18% or below, I should say. And all put together, there's no much different, okay? So however, there has been an improvement in the gender pay gap, but then there's still more to do. So female inequality is still worth fighting for, and we have to make sure that women are put on the spotlight. With even today being International Women's Day, then hey, there's a bit more to fight for. We keep speaking about women freedom, women and society and all that, but we still have not got them yet. There is still more to do. Now let's go to the second theme today. And the second theme, however, is mutual support and work and life balance. You know, being a female and rising through all the odds demand a lot. Sometimes we go through the stress, societal pressures, occupational hazards, psychological and emotional traumas, not to talk about going through all the things that makes us women, from all the dysmenorrheas to the pregnancies to the childbirth to raising kids and all that. Now there's a section in Lean In that actually highlights this section, and most often than not, partners tend to take for granted what their female partners are going through. And I want to bring to our notice something that happened in Lean In, as written by Cheryl. So let's get to it, and that's in chapter 8. I'm reading from chapter 8, that's the third paragraph. So highlights on mutual support and work-life balance. I read from chapter 8, third paragraph. The next morning, I got out of bed in my hospital room, took one step and fell to the floor. Apparently, I had wanked my leg back so hard during labor that I had pulled a tendon. Most people who have experienced this through labor, you know, labor comes with its own stress, and to pull a tendon in labor, it's not an easy battle to fight afterwards. I was unconscious for a week. Being unable to stand added a degree to difficulty to my first week of motherhood, but also provided one unforeseen benefit. Dave became the primary caregiver of our newborn. Dave had to get up when the baby cried, bring him to me to be fed, change him, and then get him back to sleep normally. The mother becomes the instant baby care expert. In our case, Dave taught me how to change a diaper when our son was 8 days old. Mutual support. So right from the start, where she had all the impact of childbearing on her tendons, Dave was there to support him. Now, even at day 8, it was Dave who taught her how to change a diaper. Calm down, something happened. Then it says here that, good. So at another section, still in chapter 8, it says that after the birth of our son, Dave began flying back to the fort several times a week. It was great that we had the ability for him to commute, but it was far from ideal. Even though he was making an exertion effort to be with me and our baby, he was still gone a lot. Since I was with the baby full time, the great majority of childcare fell to me. The division of labor felt uneven and strained our marriage. We hired a nanny, but she couldn't solve all our problems. The emotional support and shared experiences that a spouse provides cannot be bought. After a few short months of parenthood, we had already fallen into traditional lopsided gender roles. We were not unique. In the last 30 years, women have been made more progress in the workforce than in the home. According to most recent analysis, when a husband and wife both are employed full-time and the mother does 40% more childcare and about 30% more housework than the father. A 2009 survey found that only 9% of people in dual earner marriages said that they shared housework, child household responsibilities. This increase is happening very slow and we are still far from parity. So there you have it. So family support is one thing that is very important if we want to make it in the male dominated area as females. And one thing that complicates everything for us is the fact that we have to go through all childbearing, child raising, parenting. So to the men out there, we need support. We need a vast support when it comes to helping us to stay in career and helping us to do the housework in addition to the parenting and all that. See, if you don't get a partner who understands you and try to share the housework with you, it becomes very, very difficult to be able to stand up for yourself and still cope up with your occupational goals, or let me say your ambitions. And one thing is that I have had a lot of women drop out of work because of parenthood and motherhood. I have had a lot of females cut short their ambitions, cut short their aims and their employment ladder, visions they had from themselves because of the children that they had in their marriages. They will tell you, I cannot just combine housework, parenthood, motherhood, and add up this duty of being how do I call it, an employee at the same time. So people tend to quit. See, it is quite draining for some women, but then they less speak of it. But this is it, guys. A woman can make it in this international space, in all the top places that we want to find both colored and white women there, that we need support. We need the more emotional support, the mutual support of our partners to boost us, to help us get there. See, if we don't get the help, we will break down. And when we break down, if it affects everything around us. I always say that when women break down, it does not only affect their relationship with their spouses, it affects virtually everything around them, because we are an all-round individual, and that's how we were created. So if we turn not to get the support coming, we will just fail at it. So we need support our partners, we need support from the systems and structures, we need support from the education systems, we need support from the scholarship schemes, the secretariat, the employment heads. Everybody in every sector should still focus on giving women some priorities when it comes to decision making, when it comes to employment quotas, when it comes to pay rise, when it comes to, see, there's a lot going on, and there is still more to be. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, the last thing for today, is doing it all. See, lean in captures this doing it all. And I always say, Cheryl put it so well, because most of the times women think we should have it all together before we stand up to go for what we want. We feel like we should have everything in place before we start out, before we try to go for that goal, that vision, that ambition. We cannot have it all. Let's see how it's put in lean in. And I like how lean in captures this having all things. See, I'm reading from chapter 9, and it says, have the myth of doing it all. Having it all, perhaps the greatest trap ever set for women, was the coining of this phrase, bandied about in speeches headlines, and articles. These three little words are intended to be aspirational, but instead make all of us feel like we have fallen short. I have never met a woman or a man who has stated emphatically, yes, I have it all. Because no matter what any of us has and how grateful we are for what we have, no one has it all. Nor can we. The very concept of having it all flies in the face of the basic law of economics and common sense. As Sharon Poxter, professor of economics at Cornell, explains, the antiquated rhetoric of having it all disregards the basis of every economic relation. Having it all is best regarded as a myth. And yes, it is a myth. Nobody can have it all. And like many myths, it can deliver a helpful cautionary message. Think of Icarus, who soared to great heights with his man made wings. His father warned him not to fly too near the sun, but Icarus ignored the advice. He soared even higher, his wings melted. He crashed to the earth. Pursuing both a professional and a personal life is a noble and attainable goal. Up to a point, women should learn from Icarus to aim for the sky. But keep in mind that we all have real limits. Instead of pondering on, can we have it all? We should be asking the mere practical question, can we do it all? And again, the answer is no. Each of us making choices constantly between work and family, exercising and relaxing, making time for others and taking time for ourselves. Being a parent means adjusting, compromises, sacrifices every day. For most people, sacrifices and hardship are not a choice, but a necessity. About 65% of married couples' family with children in the United States have two parents in the workforce, with almost all relying on both incomes to support their household. Being a single working parent can be even more difficult. So, guys, my beautiful ladies, my beautiful catalyst, women trying to get into that space, we cannot have it all and we cannot do it all. So when you feel like asking yourself if you have it all, stop and ask yourself, can I do it all? You cannot do it all. There has to be adjustment, there has to be sacrifices. You cannot be an all-round. Yes, you can try to be an all-round lady, but then yet it's quite difficult to get it all put together for you. When you get to the point when you are not having it all, just know that all these things are multiple factors that come together to help us become the beauty of who we are as women. See, most of the times you see women out there with all the smiles, giving you all the nice accolades and welcoming in the offices and workplace. They fight battles at home. Why? Because they do not have the capacity to have it all. At some point, we would have to sacrifice, make adjustments, but none of us have got it all together. So even as we still continue to fight to make some space for ourselves in the leadership areas, in the workplace, and in society, remember that if you want to go for your dream, go for it. You cannot have it all. We're all taking it one at a time and we're building on it and we will get there. So just know that I know emotional and psychological stress sometimes come through and we ask ourselves, is it even worth fighting for? Yes, it is. Just know that you cannot have it all rosy and you cannot do it all. When you think about quitting, think about the reason why you started. When you think about leaving, think about the reason why you walked in. And when you feel like it's time to give up, think about where you want to go. So there you have it, guys. Today we have explored female inequality, empowerment, and confidence. That's going to help us solve it. And we've also explored mutual support and how it's important for us to thrive as women and the high places, the leadership roles, and the societal places that we wish to find ourselves, as well as not having it all or doing it all. When you feel like always giving up, I tell people, do not push further. Victory is almost here. So, culturalists, as we are internalizing revolution, and this month of March being the Women's Month, please remember that if you have a sister, a girl child, or a wife, support her to achieve her aims, aspirations, and goals, and be her comforter, not her breaker. And hey, guys, if you have not subscribed, shared at this point, what else are you waiting for? This is just the tip of the iceberg. There is more to come on this channel, guys. Please subscribe, please share, please like, and hey, do not forget that you are a woman who can work and still have the will to lead. If you pursue, you'll be able to find that will and actualize your leadership skills. Until I meet you again, do not forget to catalyze your own success in that working area you find yourself. See you later.